going to share a timeline of what's happened, and then we will walk around and see where some of the buildings used to be, talk a bit about some special plants, the cemetery, and things like that. So I will start. I give this tour to guests almost every night of the year, so I've got the facts down as far as the dates and the boring stuff he doesn't care about. So I'll do that right here, and then we'll part ways, and half will go with him that way, and half will go with me that direction. You'll all get to hear the same facts. He's got them right now. So this opened as a convent in 1873 called Sisters of Providence. So they are related to our Providence healthcare system that we have. And they came from Vancouver, Washington as well, which I find neat since that's where we moved here from. And I didn't know we had that in common. It started with 3 nuns. It took them 9 days by buggy car to get here. Thankfully, it's only a 7-hour drive now. And then they grew to 120 plus students and other staff, and there were up to 200 people living on this property at a time. So you can envision there were many more buildings than we see today. This is part of the largest original building. A large portion has been removed, which we'll point out as we walk around. And then they were here about 50 years. So they had a school for students, and then the 3rd floor of this building, which was much longer, was a nursing teaching hospital called Sacred Heart Academy. So twofold. And they left because in 1921, it was entering the Depression, and they started charging a tuition fee for the first time. $10 a year, and that was too expensive. So enrollment dropped to only 8 students, and then it didn't make sense to run a school for 8 students. So they left fairly abruptly, and the property was abandoned and vacant for 13 years. In 1934, another group moved in, another convent, called Lady of the Valley. They came a little further. They came all the way from Germany. A lot of them started their journey in Montana in 1925 and then came here in 34. A lot of the buildings we see now were built with their arrival. The gazebo, the gymnasium, and the cemetery were all with the second convent. So not a lot left from that first one, aside from this building, but I don't really count that with the remodel. So we will get a peek at the barn on the tour though, which is the only original building that's not been remodeled. And they were here almost just as long. They left in the early 70s because with Kettle Falls being a small town and a lot of them reaching retirement age, they were finding they were traveling into Spokane a lot for their own health care and services, and decided to relocate to Spokane. So they didn't go far, and when they left, it became a boys' reform school called Circle J Bar Ranch in the 1970s. So maybe some of you have heard of that. And there really wasn't much in the history documents I had on the boys' home, but I've now met a couple of people who worked here during that time. So I learned some things that they were trying to teach them skills and trades they could go use. And they did corn and alfalfa in these front fields. They had 10 cattle, so they used the barn. They learned to use the vintage printing press the nuns had left behind. And they did worm farming for bait shops, which I never would have guessed. And they ranged in age 12 to 18, and there were up to 30 boys in the program at a time. It closed in the late 70s because it was a state-funded program, and the state decided to stop funding it and 8 similar programs around the state at that time, so without funding, it closed. And then it was bought by a family that made it look like what it looks like today. So the Pratt family, we call it the big remodel because it took 5 years from 84 to 89. So they took this building down to the frame, redesigned the interior layout with the intention of it becoming their family home. And after all of that work, they sold it. And I'm not sure what happened there. I don't think that was their intention going into the project. But the family that bought it from them, we're almost to present day, was the parents. So some of you may have known this property as my parents' estate. You may have seen that sign. It was out there for decades. We actually refinished the same piece of wood and put our name on it. And that's why we have the word estate in our business name, was to honor what they had done here. So they came here and ran this as a B&B. That was the name of their B&B, my parents' estate. So play on their last name. And then they retired and lived out life here, and we'll see they are here in the cemetery. So when their children inherited the property, they hadn't grown up in the building, they were adult age when their family bought it, so they chose to sell it, and that's where my parents come into the picture. So I don't know if my mom's outside or inside, but they had moved to the area. Before that, my aunt and uncle had moved to the area and to live somewhere more peaceful in their retirement, and saw this go on the market and called us and said, you should get this place and run a bed and breakfast. And I thought it was a joke. It was a very random idea. And I said, oh, sure. And she started giving me reasons why it was a good idea. And I said, oh, are you being serious about this? So we flew up and saw it, and it took less than 24 hours to decide we didn't want this view every day. But as I mentioned, I think if it weren't for COVID, we probably wouldn't have made such a drastic leap. I was a registered dietitian working in the Veterans Healthcare System for 15 years, and my husband works and still works remotely in IT. So yeah, that's present day. And now we're gonna pick our groups. I won't be offended if you think he's cooler, but we're gonna go up to the drive-in split and do the rest of the tour.
We have everybody here, so we're going this way. All right, I still see a few stragglers in the back. Hi, Don. So this is the first stop. This is also the most boring stop. So this tree is actually pretty significant for the second group of nuns that were here. This tree was it's a crown of thorns tree or a honey locust. It's significant to the second group of nuns that were here because its thorns were rumored to be the crown that was put on Jesus' head when he was crucified. So, with that being said, this is a pretty cool tree. Moving on. So, in the spirit of ghost stories, I don't really think I have a whole lot to tell you except for what I can tell you that had happened to me while working on this property. I remember when we were getting the house, the real estate agent liked to say that the nuns that used to live here still help people out when they're doing work on the property. Well, I'll be darned. If I was raking leaves over there, I'm just putting them on a tarp and moving them over that way, throwing them over the valley. It was said that Bev's parent liked to put leaves on this tarp, but she folded it over in half, and I tried just dragging them over without folding the tarp in half. And I stopped after a couple hours of dragging leaves. And then keep in mind, there's no wind, it was a fairly warm day. And I saw the other side of the tarp just like flapping in the wind, and it just kind of fell over the other side of the leaves. I'm just like, all right, I get it. Sure enough, it was a lot easier. Taking Bev knew what she was doing.
Right.
Well, I guess now everybody's here, I have to ask you all a question. Who here are Metallica fans? Raise a hand. Well, that's their album cover. I kid. So, this is the cemetery that was on property, brought to you again by a second group of nuns. They definitely like to make a mark on this property. There is a lot of, all the graves have been removed and moved down to their sister branch down in Spokane. So all these molds that are here, or all these crosses that are here, those are made from the molds that are in one of our garages. So if they broke, we can fix it. I gotta say, the previous owners like this place so much, they're still here. So if you still want to talk to them, now would be a good time.
Is there names on the markers?
They're the front two gravestones up there, but that is, however, a private cemetery, not owned by this property.
Interesting.
If you want to look at it, feel free.
So the original owners are still there though?
Oh yeah.
But the nuns aren't?
No, the nuns have been exhumed and moved down to Spokane, down when this was a boys' home. I heard some stories from some of the previous workers, when it was a boys' home, that some of the boys, this was a disciplinary action for them. And some of the boys, they used to come to the graveyard at night and, well, they thought they were dogs and they were looking for bones. Sometimes they found them, but they got reburied afterwards. So I know it's really disrespectful, but this is a Halloween tour, so in the spirit, I guess.
Are the names on there?
Unfortunately, no. But the gravestone in the back does represent the first Mother Superior from the second convent of nuns that were here. So I really like how they had the right amount of gravestones here for every nun that was, well, finishing up their job at the convent. And yeah. This is the next stop on our amazing guided tour here. This is Thomas Hall. This is where the gymnasium is, and this is also where the nuns used to go to have plays. There's a full stage on there. They used to write plays and perform plays there as well. So the nuns definitely knew how to party. There's a half basketball court in there, and there's pictures of the nuns inside playing basketball inside of the basketball court. This is also where the printing press was for the boys' school, and there's a shuffleboard court downstairs built into the tile. I think that's pretty neat. There's also like a massive amount of lockers downstairs too. You know, it's funny. I was looking around there one day, and I noticed that one of the kids from the boys' home carved their names into the lockers. Billy. Anybody know Billy? Found his locker. Yeah, you know, rumor has it you can still hear their screams this very day. Just kidding, but probably. Am I? We don't know. So this is the rose garden. This is actually a very significant part of this piece of property, because this rose garden, the fence actually marks where the original log cabin was that the first group of nuns built for their chapel here, which then got built into the bigger building, which if you could see pictures from the inside, you saw a big massive building, that was this one. That's not a driveway, that's a sidewalk. So the building came all the way back this way, then took a sharp left turn down that way, all the way down there. And yeah, these were the dorms. Just a picture of a big, massive L-shaped 3-story building. It's actually kind of interesting to me because when they tore down the building during the big remodel in the 80s, they found an actual log cabin. They actually found a log cabin built into the building.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, nobody even knew it was there. They just kind of heard it started off as a log cabin for the chapel, and that's where it was. There's still pieces of the log cabin in the museum in Colville. If you want to check it out, there's also still pieces of the original building in the Kettle Falls Museum as well. Did anybody have any questions?
It's pretty.
Alright, so this is the driveway. This is actually this is my favorite driveway. This is the only one that I use in the fall time because, well, look at the view. Yeah. Also, when this place was a convent, there were the Stations of the Cross lining the driveway, so there were a bunch of really big statues. And when they sadly disbanded the boys' home, a lot of disgruntled employees decided that, well, they want to take something with them. So a lot of the old employees stole a lot of the statues here, including the statue that was on the cross in the graveyard, and, well, a lot of other statues here as well. There's some statues around here they stole. Anyways, I like this driveway. It's a really good driveway. I think the tour's done. Here, if you believe in that kind of stuff.
Like what?
Oh, so the very first day I was here, I had my dog with me. We were down by the gym over there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like sitting around like showing my dog the new property, right? And we were down by the gym. I was like, Lizzie, come here. And all of a sudden we hear like a kid's voice saying, Lizzie, come here. And she started running towards the voice. Yeah. There's nobody here. We're the only people here.
Huh.
And then one day I was kind of walking around the driveway, like right here, and I hear a child's voice say, hello. I'm just like,
clear as day.
Clear as day, like it's right here, like right next to me, right?
It's creepy.
And then, you know, I was kind of walking away, it just started saying hi again, then it giggled and just kind of ran away.
Creepy.
Yeah, it's super creepy. And Christmas time around here is actually a lot more interesting to me than Halloween.
Yeah.
Almost every Christmas I've been here, we're usually kind of here, kind of really by ourselves, realistically at nighttime. I can hear Christmas music from the second floor. Not from the third floor, not from the first floor, from the second floor. Like as soon as I get down like 2 or 3 steps on the stairs, the Christmas music just magically goes away. Yeah, so that's...
Can we come back on Christmas?
I take favors in beer.